Gabe Davis penning his goodbye to Buffalo, and I think we need to understand exactly why that is. Obviously, being in this cap situation, not having the money to be able to re-sign Gabe Davis, we're likely going to lose him to free agency. Now, I know a lot of people were saying like, oh man, he's saying goodbye. He doesn't want to come back to Buffalo. But if you read in between the lines, he definitely does want to come back to Buffalo. He's open and willing to come back here to the Buffalo Bills for 2024, but I think he knows that he's going to get more money in free agency than what the Buffalo Bills could afford at this moment in time. But we need to just understand the skill set of Gabe Davis. And I think looking at Gabe Davis throughout his career with the Buffalo Bills and in the NFL, he's shown great body control along the sidelines. He definitely has shown an ability to catch the ball, and he's shown an ability to run pretty decent routes for being a physical, taller wide receiver. Now, the only real thing that Gabe Davis lacks is just top-notch speed. He doesn't have that elite speed, but he's also a willing blocker. And unfortunately, during his time here, is like he's had some injury concerns, right? He has been hurt. I think he's missed at least a game every single season that he's been here with the Buffalo Bills. So injury concerns are definitely there. And then last year that came up was the fact that he wasn't always on the same page with Josh Allen. You know, there was, for whatever reason, there was miscommunication. There was times where maybe it was Josh Allen's fault, maybe it was Gabe Davis's fault. You really never know on those option routes that Gabe Davis was running. But I really like the fact that Joe Brady is going to be here. We have a lot of other guys that are here that have a wealth of information that could really help the players progress on this team, right? Like Joe Brady going back to LSU with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. So many guys that are here to help progress this team. But the thing is, Gabe Davis is likely going to get more money in free agency than what the Buffalo Bills can afford. Now, if he doesn't, if they do see that maybe he has some injury concerns, maybe he doesn't have that top-notch speed, maybe, they see the problems on the field, like the miscommunication between Josh Allen and Gabe Davis. I mean, there's really no excuses for that, especially being in year 4 with the Buffalo Bills and working with Josh Allen all these years. You would think it would be like that Jim Kelly and Andre Reed. I mean, you just kind of look over at one another and they know exactly what you're thinking, right? So the Bills really need to make sure that we get on that level. But it really always boils down to the salary cap. Will the Buffalo Bills have enough salary cap after our restructures, after potentially releasing players on this team? Will we have enough to bring back Gabe Davis to the Buffalo Bills in 2024? And I highly doubt that we will. Therefore, we are most likely going to be looking in potentially free agency for a wide receiver. And then we're also going to be hitting this up in the NFL draft. And Chris Brown, Buffalo Bills insider, has been hammering home that the Bills will draft 2 wide receivers coming out in this year's draft. And I kind of am starting to agree with that. I mean, we don't have the money to sign a free agent. I just can't see us spending money in free agency like we have in years past. Like, we're going to have to really rely on rookie wide receivers, similar to the Super Bowl champions did with the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, right? Rashawn Rice, dealing without a Tyreek Hill. Yes, they had Travis Kelce and some other guys there, like Mecole Hardman and some other players. But, I think the Buffalo Bills would benefit from drafting 2 wide receivers in this year's NFL draft. It's similar to what we did in past years when we drafted Greg Rousseau and Boogie Basham back-to-back. I mean, basically minimizing our risk, minimizing the chances of both of them being a bust, and obviously I don't want to say Boogie Basham is a bust, but parted ways to the Giants because Greg Rousseau really started to develop and there was no need on this roster for a Boogie Basham. So I think we draft 2 wide receivers, even if one of them doesn't work out and the one does excel, that definitely makes a lot of sense to me. So the question is, will the Buffalo Bills be selecting wide receiver in the first round and the second round? Considering that we only have 3 picks in the top 100. So the majority of our picks are way later in the draft. So we really have to find a lot of talent early in this year's NFL draft. But the real question arises here as to what type of skill set do the Buffalo Bills need. Justin Shorter being 6'3", 6'4", 230 pounds, a freak of nature, elite speed too. I think overall, from what I'm hearing, that Justin Shorter is a better athlete than Gabe Davis. Maybe Justin Shorter doesn't have the experience coming out of college, doesn't have the experience being in the NFL, or game experience, right? Maybe there are some other areas that he's not as good as Gabe Davis, but from just a pure athletic standpoint, when it comes to side, weight, and also speed, I think Justin Shorter really has a higher ceiling than even Gabe Davis. And I think that's what we need to eye up, right? Players with an unbelievable high ceiling, like nothing stopping them, like God-given traits have been given to them. And, it's just about developing them and getting them ready in the NFL. Gabe Davis definitely has some God-given skill sets and traits, but, I think with the lack of real size, right? Gabe Davis is like 6'2", pushing 6'3". I mean, you get a guy in here at like 6'4", even 6'3". I think Gabe Davis is really 6'2", but like 6'3", 6'4" wide receiver that can run like a 4.3, 4.4 40. I mean, you're talking about a dynamic threat. And the other thing I noticed with Gabe Davis is that he's a long strider, right? I mean, he can cover a lot of ground pretty fast, but when it comes down to body control and turning on a dime and breaking out of routes, you got to have those quick pitter-patter steps. You got to be able to break down with your body control, use multiple steps, and kind of change direction. I think Gabe Davis's change of direction isn't that great either. So I really believe we're going to find a dominant wide receiver or two in this year's NFL draft to supplement the loss of Gabe Davis, to supplement the loss of even Trent Sherfield, who is also a free agent. Deontay Hardy seems to be here for this upcoming season too. Mentioned it in previous videos that he's probably going to have the best year that he's ever had in his career in Buffalo. But I truly appreciate you guys all so much. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you guys hit like, subscribe. 80% of you are still not subscribed. I want to thank you all for getting me to 5,000 subscribers. It's been an absolute journey. BNC attracts the best of the best. Also, check the link in the description. We got the Buffalo Chicken Wing merch. Also, Course Careers. You could start a new introduction course for free in any of their fields. Can pass an online certificate. It's extremely tough, but once you do, they're partnered with employers and they're basically going to hire you right away. That's personally how I landed my full-time job, and it gives me the freedom to do this, see my family, hang out with friends. It's just unbelievable. I feel like I'm living a dream life. So make sure you guys check that out, hit like, subscribe, and go Bills.